Hello everyone, welcome back to our RPIIT Academics channel. This side Dr. Bharti from RPIIT campus, Karnal. So today I am here to come discuss about the rehabilitation part of the cerebellum, as we discussed everything about the cerebellum in my last videos, like sign and symptoms, its functional test, its classification, and the basic concept and functional anatomy of the cerebellum. Now in this video we will discuss how we rehabilitate the patient of that cerebellum. So before discussing the some specific protocol of that cerebellar patient, cerebellar like ataxic patients who have a major role in gait training and balance as well, we must know the goal. We must summarize the goal first in our mind, that how we treat that patient. So before treating the patient, we are working on that motor component in that cerebellar patient, that we must improve the balance, gait and walking pattern. So beside that, we must have a static control first, then we work upon the dynamic part. If the patient is not able to stand, then patient is not able to walk properly. If the patient is not able to sit, then patient is not able to, if the patient don't have trunk control, then patient is not able to sit properly. Before we are working on that sitting and we are working on the walking pattern, but we are not working on that static part. So that protocol was wrong from the therapist side. So we must summarize the goal first for any rehabilitation protocol. So today we will discuss the cerebellar rehabilitation. So we must have goal of rehabilitation. As I told in my previous video, that cerebellum works as a programming and planning, and it helps to maintain coordination, it helps to maintain balance, it helps to maintain goal. If there is cerebellar pathology, we must work on that component. So goal of rehabilitation of our cerebellar patient is we have to promote the postural stability first, either in the sitting or in the standing. Like we have the static control first, then we have to improve balance. For in case of balance, we must have static balance first, then we work on that dynamic component. We have to improve the gait as well. So gait, before that gait pattern, we must able to control maintain the balance first. So if the patient is walking, but that walking was inaccurate, and there is a patient take long time to cover up that some particular distance, or patient become incoordinated during that movement become higher amplitude or lower amplitude, patient can break the path sideways, patient is not able to turn 180 degree or the 360 degree. So we must work on incoordination at that part. So to improve coordination is our one goal for cerebellar pathology. For that, if we work on that all, obviously the chances of fall become less. So to prevent fall, we must maintain that protocol that we have discussed in that we will discuss in today's session. So as we know that we work on that eye closed conditions, in eye closed position. So we work on the proprioception, which is the deep sensations of the cerebellar system, nervous system. So we must improve the posture as well as the proprioception. So we must keep it in mind that goals of rehabilitation, then we work upon that, how we do that task. So we work on the balance, as I told earlier. So for balance training, we must have a static balance control first, then we move forward to a dynamic balance control. So static balance control, we have a double limb stance. Double limb stance means we ask the patient to stand on the both legs, initially with the open eye, then with the closed eye, and we have to count initially 10 seconds, 20, 15 seconds, 20 seconds as a progression, and note that how long the patient can stand on the double limb squat with eye closed position. Then after that we proceed, if the patient is able to do the double limb stance, then we proceed towards the single leg stance. Single leg stance is nothing but we ask the patient to stand on the one leg, initially with support, the support of hand, then two fingers, then one finger, and then without support, initially with open eyes, later on with closed eye. And in that component we must work upon that coordination part. Means patient moves sideways initially, then we control the pelvis and we ask the patient to stand aside. We control the pelvis first to improve that coordination, to maintain that position. Then if the patient is able to that position, do that task, static control, then we have a tandem stance. Tandem stance is nothing but that we ask the patient to stand beside that toes of the one foot and the heel of the another foot, hold that position, tandem stance position. Then you initially with the open eyes, then the closed eye, and we noted the time, how prolonged the patient can maintain that position. that is the progression part. Basically we noted down the progression ki yes, initially at the one day when the patient comes and we'll practicing that task in the single leg stance or the tandem stance, that time duration was only 10 seconds, but later on patient become masters in that condition with the continuous training and with the neural adaptation, and we work on the cerebellum, so patient can prolong the time durations. Then we have an double limb, single leg and the tandem stance. Now we come to the dynamic part. Dynamic part means initially we in static part we initially ask the patient to march at one place. Dynamic part we march at another, like move forward. We give that training to a wobble board. We stand on the patient like we are the patient that supporting surface is tilting, moving, and patient stands on that and control that position initially with the open eye, then with increasing the base of support, then with arm at the side, then with close the eyes, with in closed eye position. So this is what about that how patient can do the training on the wobble board. Then we have an stepping forward, stepping backward, side stepping exercises for that complicating the task of the patient, obviously in the open eyes for that stepping exercises. Then we ask the patient to climb stairs. We ask the patient to sit on the Swiss ball in that sitting surface where the patient sit on that is the moving surface, and the patient can hold that position initially with that hands on the pelvis, then hands on the abducted position, then one leg move up and one leg on the floor. So but why we do that thing? Because of that we have to complicate the task and we become masters the patient in that particular conditions. So static control, dynamic control, and then we move on the coordinated exercises. We have an Frankel exercises where have in different positions. You ask the patient in lying position, sitting position, standing position, picking up activity. For the larger muscle group of activity, we train the patient with the fine motor skill as well as the gross motor skill, and obviously we in coordination we must work upon all the system like vestibular system, motor system and the sensory system. So when we ask the patient to hand-eye coordination, which is very much important for the coordination, so we must work on the visual system to coordinate the visual information first, then we receive that information, then control over that or the direct the hand in that to accomplish the task. So hand-eye coordination, you ask the patient, like in that we ask the patient to pick a glass from the table and drink a water. We give a training of catching and throwing a ball, and we use a computer users. So there are different activities we ask the patient to do to improve the fine motor skills as well as the gross motor skills, which require the coordinated action of the small muscle group as well as in the large muscle group. Based upon that, how we treat if we are treating the fine motor skills, yes, we have been working on the small muscle group. If we are treating with larger muscle groups, yes, we are treating the gross motor skills like walking, running, lifting activities. Or if we are working on that smaller muscle group or the fine motor skills, then yes, we work on the writing, drawing, buttoning, etc. So that all are the coordinated exercises. There are so many exercises for to improve the coordination. So we have an Frankel exercises, we have an heel to knee exercises, we have an simple in sitting position or laying position to do the flexion, extension, abduction, adduction. So that all are exercises to maintain the coordination of the movement. So that is all about how we improve the balance. So there are different exercises for training as well, locomotion as well. We ask the patient to move forward either in the walking, basically initially walking on forward walking, then backward walking, then sideways walking, then tandem walking to complicate the task. Initially in the parallel bar, in the closed environment, in the eye open position, then in the open environment, not in the classroom or the lab or the like clinical arts, but move outwards initially, or always in the locomotion during outside environment for the open eye. So forward walking, backward walking and the sideways walking to improve or enhance the locomotory action of the persons or the patients. So that is all about how we treat the patient of cerebellar pathology. So hope you understood the detail about the concept of coordination, what are the structures that are responsible for coordination, what are the tests that are useful to improve coordination, and yes, what are the exercises and the protocols to improve coordination. So that is all about the coordination and the cerebellum. In my next video we come up with some new topic and very interesting topic that are the beneficial for our social society as well. So till now, thank you so much.